Oi mate, there might be spoilers ahead. You better keep an eye out. Don't say I didn't warn you. Adventure Forward, a game series on Roblox that is widely considered a certified hood classic by many, and for good reason too. Although, as of recent events, the original games were taken down and were brought back from the deep dark realm of the files by fans. I had played the second game first, ironically, and absolutely adored the unique gameplay and how it managed to work despite the limitations of Roblox's game system. Recently, it seems like the series is kind of at a standstill for right now, and it seems like it might be ending soon enough. So, in order to honor the nostalgia that the series brings me, I'm going to be ranking every single points trial in Adventure Forward 2. Now, I'm also going to say that I won't be counting any of the bonus levels or Celestial's level, because I feel like those don't really count as trials. So, yeah, let's just jump right in with number 14.
We must recover all the energy immediately, Mega Man.
But where is Dr. Wily?
That's a good question.
Coming in at number 14, the worst trial in Adventure Forward 2 is Mino's trial in Battery Canyon. Now, I'm not really sure what it is about Mino's trial that just doesn't really stick with me in a positive light, but I think the main thing is that I always felt that it dragged on for way too long. I always thought it was like the longest trial in the game. Not really long as in like you had more opportunities to enjoy it, just long as in it was incredibly unnecessary. I think another reason that I don't like it is just because I don't like the rest of Battery Canyon, and it doesn't really do anything to separate itself from the rest of the world. Like, the battery mechanic is not really any fun at all, and the trial doesn't really do anything to change that. And it just, like I said, it drags on for way too long, and most of the gameplay isn't fun. It doesn't really feel like you're doing much. It's just really boring. This little part here with like the ramp and the speed boost was kinda cool, but it was way too short. It's honestly a shame too, because I really like Mino, and I really like the concept of Battery Canyon in general, but I just feel like it all could have been, you know, done so much better. But I'm talking more about the world in general, so let's keep on track with the trial. I just feel that, honestly, it doesn't really stand out in any way. It isn't fun, but it isn't necessarily hard either, except for a couple little points which were a tad irritating. But that's really all I can say about it. There were a few cool parts, and I wish it had done that more often. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about Mino's trial. Let's just move on. I really don't want to talk about this any more than I have to.
You still live a life that you dread. Excuse me. That is because...
You know, for being the essence of the Void, Voixer really doesn't do anything special. I wouldn't say his trial is necessarily bad, but it's just a huge letdown. I'll get onto why later, but let's focus on the actual trial. The main mechanic is pressing buttons, and they flash out a little pattern of either a straight path or a couple of platforms that you need to jump across and memorize the pattern so that you can make it further. A pretty cool concept. And I quite like this concept. It is a little hard to do, but I guess that's to be expected considering this is technically the final trial. But you may be asking, well, why is such a cool trial with such a cool mechanic placed this low, the second worst? Well, it's because of what happens when you actually reach Voixer. Upon reaching and talking to Voixer, he goes on about how he is the final essence of Celestial and that this is the end of your road and stuff. Basic final boss kind of things. And then he says that he wants to fight you? A final boss fight with Voixer, hell yeah. This is gonna be awesome. I cannot wait to see what kind of crazy attacks he has in store. This is about to be the toughest boss fight ever. I can tell, and... What has happened? Really? We don't even get to fight him because of plot? Yeah, I think you can kinda understand my disappointment with Voixer. Now, I feel like this whole plot device could have been used. I feel like it's fine that this is used, but at least give us a boss fight before he has an existential crisis and disappears forever. Let's just move on to something better, maybe something with an actually cool battle at the end. Ugh.
It's 7 years ago. My time machine works!
Now for these next two trials, I'm actually going to be ranking them both at the same time. You'll see why in just a bit. You know, it kind of hurt me to put Morward and Pasless this low, but honestly, I feel like a lot of the other trials just did things a lot better than them. Let's start with the better one. In Morward's trial, you need to reach the end of a long hallway while looking into the future to determine where you're going to land. If you look here, you can see that I'm landing on the platforms that are on the other side of the room, which is a very, very cool concept. And honestly, I feel like Morward's trial is definitely the better one in this situation, and you'll see why in a second. Then there's Pasless's trial, which does the exact opposite, where you need to follow the platforms behind you, or in the past, to determine where you need to go. And while I both really like these concepts, I feel like the reason that Morward's is better is mainly because of the fact that the whole magic of the invisible platforms, and you have to look into different, directions to determine where you're going to land. The fact that Morward does it first kind of takes away, the whole magic of it when you actually get to Pasless's trial, if you know what I mean. I know it sounds a little weird, but I just feel like the whole magic of the surprise is kind of taken away with Pasless's, and also just because Pasless's is a lot more infuriating, where if you mess up once, you have to go all the way back to the start of the hallway, as just demonstrated there. But then again, I feel like this is also the reason why Morward's trial could have been higher. It's because there isn't really anything stopping you from getting to the end of the hallway other than the platforms. You just kind of need to focus on the things in front of you, and that's about it. That's really all that's stopping you. The worst case scenario is that you'll accidentally fall and have to start this part of the hallway all over again. But even so, that's not that bad, considering you can make it up very easily. I think what could round these out a little bit is adding obstacles or enemies that can only be seen from the places you're supposed to be looking at. I feel like that would be a cool concept, but don't make them put you at the very start of the hallway when you actually die to them, because that's just horrible. All in all, it's a cool concept, but it really should have been elaborated better. I gotta say, it's not looking very good for the alternate dimension stages, but hey, maybe the other two will prove me wrong. Anyway, let's move on to the future of this list. It's a time pun. I don't know where I was going with this, I really don't.
What the fuck?
There's a flashing lights warning for this little bit, so if you're sensitive to that, you can just go to this timestamp and it will be in the description as well. Good news, we're getting on to the good ones, or the ones that I dislike a little bit less. And what better way to start with the number 10 than the hardest fucking thing in this entire game? I have a love-hate relationship with Ixol's trial. It's simultaneously a very well-rounded and very cool-looking trial and the hardest thing ever at the same time. It's like the perfect balance of annoying and fun, and I didn't really know where to put it, so this is really the best I can do. Sorry to all those Ixol fans out there, but I don't really know what to make of this. I will say one thing. Ixol's trial is probably one of my favorite looking trials out of this whole thing. There aren't any notable changes from the actual world, but I just love the way Distortion Paradise looks in general, so I honestly don't have any complaints. But this thing is also bullshit at the same time. What killed me there? Tell me what killed me there. Alright. The main thing I have a problem with is these little flying texture things that you can see all around, the boost pads. If you touch these, they kill you. So if you're trying to jump from one of these, boost pads to another, and you just barely miss it, you slip off the side a tad, you die, and you have to go back to the last checkpoint. That is really annoying. Like, I don't see why they have to kill you. I feel like just putting them there and just having them, like, move around and stuff is cool enough. Or at least use them for more unique obstacles, like this trial does on a regular basis. But I feel like putting them at the side of the platforms and stuff is a really annoying thing, and I don't think they should do that. But how could this trial possibly be more difficult, you ask? Why, by having a boss fight with Ixol right at the end. Yeah, this boss fight is another thing I have a love-hate relationship with. For one, sometimes when I play it, it is very fun. But other times, I get post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, honestly, this trial is just all over the place, and I kinda like it for that fact. It's just so chaotic, and it really fits Ixol's, like, whole personality on how all over the place he is. I feel like the difficulty is perfect for that, but at the same time, it kind of feels like a massive difficulty spike at the same time. Like, Mino's trial wasn't as hard as this, and it came right before this. All in all, pretty good. Pretty good. Although, if I were to meet Ixol in real life, I would be running, I would be running for my life. I would be gone, just over the hills. You can't see me anymore. I'm stuttering now, let's just move on.
Should've saw that coming.
So you know that one guy on DeviantArt who would commission artists to draw cartoon female characters, like, with Wonder Bread, shopping for Wonder Bread and cutting down trees? Yeah, just gender bend that guy, and that's just Ploque. I think if I had to describe Ploque's trial in one sentence, it would be a lot easier than it looks. Because, I mean, you see this little normal bit here. It's a pretty simple little thing. You just jump up on the screw and then you move up. And then you move up into the actual stage and... yeah, there's just saws all over the place, but it is honestly a lot easier than it looks. I mean, I guess that's to be expected. It's only the 4th world in the entire game, but still. I think the main reason that there's so many saws all over the place is to kind of distract you from how easy most of the platforming actually is. Sure, there's saws all over the place, but most of them are just kind of there to be there. I mean, if you look at this stuff, it's fairly simple platforming. All you need to do is just ignore all the giant saws flying all over the place and you should be good to go. And it's fairly simple afterwards. I feel like another reason it isn't ranked as high is because visually it isn't really any different from the rest of World 4, aside from the flying saws all over the place. But yeah, I feel like it could have, you know, at least looked a little bit different. Hell, a nighttime setting, that's the most unoriginal idea that the game normally does. But hey, I digress. Fun, I guess I wouldn't really call it fun. I'm only placing it above Ixol's trial because it doesn't give me PTSD. Because, you know, it's easy. Let's move on to something maybe a little more challenging and more sophisticated.
You are not immune to nostalgia!
In the climax of Adventure Forward 1, you have to climb up Shadow Hill, and eventually you have a climactic showdown with Stratosfear at the top. A pretty simple ending, I'm gonna be honest, but hey, the boss fight was cool at least. And then we get to Adventure Forward 2's alternative dimensions, and we get a recreation of Stratosfear's whole obstacle course, like, right before his boss fight. And I feel like this is a really, really cool throwback. Of course, it's not exactly a complete replica of Shadow Hill, but it's got little tidbits, as you can see here. You also got little nice dialogues with Stratosfear here and there, talking about how, oh, I really owe you one. You saved my life, etc., etc. And other than that, difficulty-wise, it is pretty hard. I've died quite a lot of times on this trial, so that puts it above Ploque's trial for sure. But other than that, there isn't really much to say about it, so let's move on. I kind of want to keep the alternate dimension ones kind of short, because, you know, there isn't really much to talk about because they are short in general. So yeah, let's hope that he doesn't get in another time loop. Please. Halfway there now, and I feel like this is a pretty good spot to put Anshine's trial in Star Sanctuary. I'm gonna be honest with you, when I first played this game, I despised Star Sanctuary, and I do not know why. I think there was a little red coin bit behind the clock tower that just really, like, infuriated me. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. That was just me being naive, because this is a fairly good trial. We're actually getting onto the trials that I like here, so get ready for that. Anyway, I think the main thing that gives Star Sanctuary's trial its, I guess, shine, is the movement of the star projectiles, as you can see here. It has some of the most unique movement patterns in the entire game, only being beaten by World 10, and it's, you know, craziness. I'm not sure anything can beat that. But look at this thing here. How are you supposed to, like, come up with this stuff? Like, they really outdid themselves here. It's a very unique trial. Visually, it is one of my favorites. And it has a lot to offer in terms of gameplay. Mainly, you know, dodging stars and stuff, but there are occasional little bits where you have to dodge, like, thwomps, you have to climb up on clouds, etc., etc. You can also talk to these little angel dudes, and they offer you some lore, saying, like, you're the second star savior. Are you really the one who will fulfill the prophecy, etc., etc.? But I think Star Sanctuary goes in the middle, because I don't know, I guess just because everything else afterwards is better. Now, you may be kind of conflicted about what I choose next, but I promise I will elaborate. Oh yeah, also, at the end of the trial, you get a little exposition thing with Anshine, where he brings you into the Temple of Shadows, and it's highly hinted at that Stratosfear was a familiar face, and as we all know, that Stratosfear is the first star savior, but turned into a point by Celestial because of blah blah blah, etc., etc., put into a time loop. And I feel like this is a nice little bit of lore that I feel like was well placed, needed expanded on. So yeah, well done, Anshine, you shiny boy. What the fuck does that mean? What was I thinking when I said
Eat your vegetables!
Yeah, I know people are gonna tear me apart because I think that Yawgate's trial is better than Anshine's trial, but let me explain. The thing I really love is pacing, and I think Yawgate's trial has some of the best pacing in the entire game, honestly. Because, I mean, the whole point of the trial is going fast, sliding around on these little green and yellow tile things that accelerate you along, etc., etc., and you just have to make it to the end of a big hallway, like the rest of the alternate dimensions things, but I digress. And I just love the pacing. I love how fast you go, and I love how it actually feels like you're going through a dimensional portal. That's just something I really like. I'm not sure, I can't quite describe it, but Yawgate's trial I just feel is a lot better than Anshine's. But of course, putting it like anywhere near the #1 spot is kind of weird, honestly. So I'm not doing that, don't worry. Didn't want to talk about it too much because I know that would be kind of boring because it's such a short thing. But yeah, that's all the alternate dimension things done, so let's move on. Oh, hey there, Yawgate. How you doing, buddy? Hey, come here, give me a hug. It's been so good to see you.
Did you know?
I feel like a good tutorial level should ease you into the difficulty of the game while also being memorable, and I feel like Shallare's trial and Adventure Grounds is something that nails that absolutely perfectly. Like I said, a good tutorial level is something that should ease you into the difficulty of the game, and Shallare's trial has loads of interesting obstacles and loads of places to go, so it's not just a straight linear path, which I quite like. I feel like a lot of tutorial levels do that, and it's nice that you're kind of forced to explore around a little bit. Other things I like about Shallare's trial is just the atmosphere in general. It's a very nice autumny kind of setting, and I feel like that's pretty cool. I also like the bounce pads. It utilizes bounce pads quite a lot, so you're always like moving, and I really like that. I just really like this trial. It's very intriguing for a tutorial level. They kind of went all out with this one. Yeah, don't want to talk about this one for much longer, so let's move on to something a tad more interesting.
I sentence you to jazz!
Sorry. You caught me listening to Ain't Nothing Like a Funky Beat from the Lethal League Blaze OST made by Hideki. I don't know where this joke is going. I don't. It's Signol's Trial, okay? Do you want to know why I like Signol's Trial? It's because there's jump pad drums, and when you jump on them, they make sounds. Oh my god, that's such a good detail, I love. Okay, music-themed obstacles aside, I actually really like the rest of the obstacles and other things in this trial. They're honestly just really creative, and I feel like they should have been utilized more in the rest of the game. Unlike Ploque's trial, which just knows how to put saws everywhere and then be done with it. But hey, I digress. I also really like the atmosphere of this level, similarly to Shallare's. I don't know why, it's just really, like, calming. It's the most calming trial in the game, I think, apart from the one that's coming up next, but no spoilers for that. Also, once you enter the VIP lounge, there is a massive turntable, and you get to walk up on, like, massive record discs. I just really like that. I think it's an absolutely awesome trial. Difficulty-wise, it's not that hard, but it's only the second world, so I don't really know what you're expecting in terms of difficulty. But I love the jazzy feel that everything has, and I feel like it's got a good length as well. It's not too dragged on. Even if it was dragged on, I think I would enjoy it even more, unlike Mino's trial. And hey, that's all I can really say about Signol's trial. Love the atmosphere, love the obstacles, love everything about it. So yeah, on to number 3. You know, normally ice physics in video games absolutely infuriate me, but I think Compale's trial and the rest of Frosted Snowland handles it very, very well. Frosted Snowland in general is probably one of my favorite worlds, and so is Compale. He's a very cool guy. No pun intended. Cool. Ice pun. I think my main complaint with the first part of this trial is how short it actually is compared to the main event. I mean, you've got like a little pathway from the entrance, you do a little puzzle right here, and then you have an actually very good segment with the marble power-up. I actually really like the marble power-up segment in this trial. It's a very unique turn, and I actually wish that whenever the marble power-up was introduced that it did more of the stuff like this, unlike that one mission in Battery Canyon, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. So, what is exactly the main event? Well, similarly to Ixol's boss fight, it's a boss fight. I meant to just say Ixol's trial, but you know what, let's just go with it. And I really like this trial. It's a very good way of settling you into the difficulty, and it kind of gives you a lot to expect. I'm gonna be honest, this trial caught me off guard, like the first time I actually played the game, because of how good it actually is. I mean, in the second phase, Compale even has it, like, switching camera angles and stuff to, like, disorient you, so you kind of have to, like, adjust yourself. And he's got all sorts of attacks. He's got, like, a close-range attack. He can throw down an icicle, which, like, creates a shockwave. He's got, like, a weird little hole-in-the-wall style attack where you have to try and not get pushed by the wall by jumping through the hole and not getting pushed into the spikes, etc., etc. And he's got some pretty basic projectiles as well. Kind of basic, just dodging and stuff. And then there's whatever the hell happened here. I don't know what that's all about, but don't get crushed by the icicle or that'll happen. So yeah, it's a very, very good trial, and I feel like it's really deserving of the number 3 spot. Not because of, like, its difficulty, but just how actually fun it is. This is a very fun trial all the way through, and I had an absolute blast. I'm just gonna move on with a good mood right now.
Don't come to my house or else I'll suck your dick, blood. I'll suck your blood.
Oh, it is so dark in this room. Oh, I don't know where I'm going. Oh, wait, what is this? Oh my goodness, it's a high-quality cutout of Ulipse's symbol from Adventure Forward 2. This trial appeals to me a lot. I really like this trial. I love the atmosphere, the whole desert temple at night, jumping from, like, column to column, exploring these massive ruins while, like, rotating moon symbols are trying to slice you up and stuff. And you're doing it, like, really fast as well. It uses the dash pepper, so you're jumping from platform to platform. and I love how fast-paced it is, but it's like, it's not too fast-paced that you don't know where you're going without, like, a little simple little look around. It's pretty challenging at the start too, but like Compale's trial, I feel like the first half is a bit too short before it actually gets to the main event, which is also a boss fight. And this boss fight, it's definitely a lot more challenging than Compale's. Would I call it better? Maybe. I mean, she's ranked higher than Compale, so I guess Ulipse's boss fight is kinda better due to the challenge and stuff, but I'm not really sure. Her attacks and stuff are kind of interesting, mostly, but I feel like Compale utilized his abilities in a much better way. Most of Ulipse's attacks just consist of throwing moons at you, and you can actually glitch one of the moves so that she's completely frozen and you can't do anything. So while I would say that the trial and obstacle course itself is superior, I would not say that the boss fight is. The boss fight is just kind of okay. It's challenging, sure, but that's all I can really say. Still a very good trial, definitely worthy of the number 2 spot. But then there's number 1, and I can say without a doubt that this next one is my favorite, so sit tight. Oh, wait, hang on, I just need to find my way to the number 1 spot. It's so dark, I can't... Where is it? Where...
Arkham Asylum makes you feel like you're Batman.
So, you all know at this point that I like speedy levels. And our number 1 spot takes the cake by not only making a speedy experience, but a badass experience where you are literally jumping on the back of dragons! Sorry if you hear rain in the background. But anyway, Arrolin's trial is the best trial in the game, no doubt about it. This trial is just so cool. I cannot get over how cool this is. Okay, let me chill out for a bit. It's basically a massive ninja training course, if I had to put it in words. And you know what? It really makes you feel like a ninja. It really makes you feel like Batman. I also can't get over the setting. A nice, like, traditional, rural, Chinese, like, village festival, I guess. But I guess that's just the whole thing. But now it's in daytime. The normal Mad Dragon Festival thing is nighttime, and that still looks great, but this just looks so cool. I love it. It's so cool. Oh, and yeah, you're jumping all over the damn place. You're jumping in, like, weird temples. You're jumping in the main festival. You're running across, like, lanterns. And like I said, you're running on the backs of dragons. And it's also using the push pads in such a unique way where you need to look at where the arrow is pointing so that you don't step on one that launches you into the abyss. That is such a cool idea, and it really makes you have to pay attention. You need to have a quick reaction time in order to do this. And it also incorporates a little bit of the Saw thing here, but that doesn't really matter. I just love how unique it is. It incorporates basically everything in the game, aside from the battery ability, thank God. And you're using the dash pepper most of the time. I love the dash pepper, it's just so good. I cannot get over how good this is. I just love this trial so much. I love the setting, I love the point that guards it. Arrolin is the best, fight me. And it's just so much fun. I am having a blast the whole time through this trial, no doubt about it. I just love it. It's great. So, that's the list. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope that some of you agree with me. I mean, honestly, if you don't agree, it's all good, and I'd love to hear your opinions if you have played the game. Leave me your rankings in the comments below. I'm very curious as to hear what you guys have to say. And also, just tell me how you think the video was. I'm pretty proud of this video, not gonna lie. I would like to take this chance, though, to talk about the current state of the Adventure Forward series. Now, I'm fairly new. I've known about the game for a few months now, I think 6 months at best. And of course, I'm aware of the whole deal with the original creator, and I do not support what the original creator of the games did in any way, shape, or form. I just think that this is one of the ways to, This is one of the times we should separate the art from the artist, you know? That's what I think, at least. And the Adventure Forward series is a very interesting concept, and one that I would love to be expanded on more, but as of the current state of things, it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. The original team, some of the guys that the original creator had hired for the game, they decided to take matters into their own hands, and they were going to make a third game called Adventure Forward Crown of Shadows. And as of recently, that game is being rebranded to a game called Stars Align, which still looks very good, and I will definitely check it out. But it seems that the Adventure Forward name has been forever, I suppose, I'm not quite sure how to describe it, but it doesn't seem like we're going to be hearing from this franchise for a very long time. Maybe never again, but I want to stay hopeful here. Am I happy about this? I'm not sure. I honestly think that I don't agree with any of like the things that the original created, but the series itself has nothing to do with any of the things he has done. But that's just my opinion. As of that, as of recently, there isn't really much I can do to change things. So for now, all I can really do is just wait, hopefully. And yeah, just hope that something happens soon, or at all, just anything happens at all. I'm gonna stay hopeful though, because I really like this franchise, and I feel it needs to be continued somehow. If it won't, then that's fine, I completely understand. And I am looking forward to this new rebranding of Crown of Shadows Stars Align. The trailer looked absolutely epic, and it had a remix of Sectonia's theme from Kirby Triple Deluxe, so that's something. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling. Sorry to those who had no idea what I was talking about. But I feel like I just need to get that off my chest. Play the games if you have the time. They are very good. And I completely support the Adventure Forward team on their decision, and I am looking forward to what they have next in the future. So, that basically wraps up this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends or family, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'll see you guys soon. I have a Halloween special in the works, and I think you'll enjoy it quite a lot. So yeah, bye-bye!